It was a night that changed everything for Sarah Jenkins. Married for just 2 years to Mark Thompson, a man from what she thought was a respectable upper-middle-class family, Sarah never imagined the cruelty her in-laws could unleash. During a ferocious storm that battered the coastal town of Evergreen Bay, with winds howling like wild animals and rain pounding the windows, Mark's parents and siblings gathered in the family home and decided she was no longer welcome. They packed her bags, shoved her out the door without a coat or a word of mercy, and locked it behind her. Soaked to the bone and shivering in the downpour, Sarah stood there, wondering how her life had come to this. But what they didn't know, what no one in that family knew, was that Sarah's father, Victor Hale, was not just any man. He was a self-made billionaire whose empire spanned tech and real estate, and when he learned of the betrayal, he arrived in a sleek black limousine that cut through the storm like a knife. That limo didn't just bring rescue, it brought reckoning. Sarah had always been the quiet type, the one who blended into the background rather than seeking the spotlight. Born into a world of privilege that she rarely discussed, she met Mark at a charity event in the city 5 years ago. He was charming, with an easy smile and stories of his family's successful hardware business that made him seem grounded. They dated for a year, and when he proposed during a sunset walk on the beach, Sarah said yes without hesitation. She loved him, or at least she thought she did, and the idea of building a life together felt right. The wedding was simple, held in a small chapel near Evergreen Bay, where the Thompsons lived. Mark's family, his parents, Robert and Elaine Thompson, his older sister Lisa, and younger brother Tom, attended with polite smiles but underlying tension. From the start, Sarah sensed they looked down on her. She didn't come from their world of local business ties and community status. She had moved to the area for a job as a graphic designer, and her family was far away in the bustling metropolis of New York. But Sarah brushed it off, attributing it to the usual in-law adjustments. The first year of marriage was blissful in its routine. Sarah and Mark lived in a modest apartment above the Thompson family hardware store. She worked remotely most days, designing logos for small businesses, while Mark helped run the store. Evenings were spent cooking dinners together or watching movies. But cracks began to show when finances got tight. The store wasn't doing as well as Robert boasted, and Mark started borrowing money from his parents. Sarah suggested budgeting apps and side gigs, but Mark waved her off, saying family handled family matters. It escalated one afternoon when Elaine visited unannounced. She rifled through Sarah's kitchen cabinets, skiing at the gourmet spices Sarah had bought. "We Thompsons don't need fancy things," Elaine said, her voice sharp. "Mark deserves a wife who knows how to save, not spend." Sarah bit her tongue, but inside, resentment brewed. Lisa, Mark's sister, was worse. She would call Sarah constantly, questioning every decision, from Sarah's choice of curtains to how she folded laundry. "You're not one of us yet," Lisa once whispered during a family barbecue. Tom, the brother, was more passive, but his snide comments about Sarah's city girl habits added to the pile. Mark, caught in the middle, always defended Sarah half-heartedly. "Mom, Dad, she's trying," he'd say, but then turn to Sarah and murmur, "Just give them time." Sarah endured it, believing love conquered all. She even tried bonding, hosting family dinners where she prepared Elaine's favorite roast. But the Thompsons saw her efforts as intrusions. Robert once pulled Mark aside and said, loud enough for Sarah to hear, "Son, are you sure about this? She's not bringing anything to the table." The real trouble started 6 months ago when Sarah discovered she was pregnant. She shared the news with Mark over breakfast, her hands trembling with excitement. He hugged her tightly, tears in his eyes. "We're going to be parents," he said. But when they told the family that evening, the reaction was icy. Elaine's face hardened. "A baby now? With the store struggling? How will you afford it?" Lisa chimed in. "Mark, you need stability, not more burdens." Robert just stared at Sarah, as if she had planned it to trap his son. From that moment, the pressure mounted. The Thompsons insisted Sarah quit her job to focus on the pregnancy, claiming it was family tradition. Sarah refused at first, but Mark pleaded, "It'll make them happy." Reluctantly, she agreed, dipping into her savings. The the modest inheritance from her late mother that she had kept separate. Unbeknownst to the Thompsons, Sarah's father, Victor, had set up a trust for her, but she never touched it, wanting to prove herself independently. As the pregnancy progressed, the in-laws' interference grew. Elaine moved in temporarily to help, rearranging Sarah's closet and critiquing her eating habits. "No caffeine. Dear, think of the baby," she'd say, while slipping Mark a beer. Lisa spread rumors in town that Sarah was high maintenance, and Tom accidentally let slip to friends that Sarah came from questionable stock. Mark, stressed from the store's debts, began withdrawing, spending nights at the family home instead of with Sarah. One particularly bad argument erupted when Sarah suggested selling some family heirlooms to pay bills. Robert exploded. "Those are Thompson treasures. You'd sell our legacy for your whims." Mark sided with them, yelling at Sarah for the first time. "Why can't you just support us like a real wife?" Hurt, Sarah retreated to the bedroom, but the damage was done. The storm hit on a Friday night in late autumn. Evergreen Bay was no stranger to bad weather, but this one was brutal. Hurricane-force winds, sheets of rain that flooded streets, and thunder that shook the foundations. Sarah, now 7 months pregnant, felt uneasy all day. Her back ached, and the baby kicked restlessly. Mark had promised to be home early, but he texted that he was stuck at the store with his dad. By evening, the power flickered. Sarah called Mark, but he didn't answer. Worried, she drove to the store despite the worsening storm. The hardware store was dark, but lights shone from the attached family house behind it. She knocked, and Lisa answered, her face sour. "What are you doing here?" Lisa asked. "I need Mark."
The